Hey guys, I just got a notification that Kimberly Cheatle just resigned from the Secret Service via email to her colleagues and associates, etc., and which is the way it should be. It's a shame that she applied for the Secret Service right out of college and spent 28 years of her life with the agency, and that it ended this way, but it's absolutely unacceptable. If you watched the hearing yesterday, she was providing no information to the American people. Um, Her response, everything regarding the Secret Service, the agency under her leadership, proved that she was inept for the job. So, um, Fox News just did a live interview with Pat Fallon, congressman from Texas, and I posted a video yesterday of his interaction with Kimberly Cheatle. And what was interesting about it was he had a demonstration. He recreated the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania with an AR-15 using two separate scopes, because we still don't know what scope the shooter used. But he had 16 shots, and out of those 16 shots, he had 15 kill shots. So it's certainly fortunate that Donald Trump is still with us. It's certainly fortunate that Donald Trump can still be elected President of the United States in 2024. And it's absolutely fortunate that Donald Trump is still here to change the world for the better. Trump Vance 2024. Let's take a look at this clip real quick from Fox News. They interviewed Pat Fallon this morning to get his response to her resigning. So let's hear what he has to say.
Peter Ducey has a shot of this letter. I'm just going to read it here. We don't have the graphic prepared. As I stated in the hearing yesterday, all of you are worthy of trust and confidence. You deserve the nation's support in carrying out our critical mission. This is a letter to the Secret Service, who works under her, by the way. One of my favorite things about this workforce is that the men and women are fiercely committed to our mission. Thank you for all that you do and will continue to do for our great nation. Signed by her. Right now, Associated Press confirming an internal email sent by Kimberly Cheatle to those in the Secret Service announces her resignation. This a day after that she was really a verbal punching bag on Capitol Hill, Dana.
Well, and she came to Capitol Hill with no answers to some very basic questions. And the calls were not just coming from Republicans for her to resign. There were many Democrats who felt the same. And you kind of have to wonder, she said the buck stops with her, that she would be the one who would answer the questions. She wanted to be as transparent as possible. She was not. And so I do think that this became something that was inevitable for her. It was a bipartisan call for her. Not everybody, but I mean, you just had enough Democrats saying she should resign. In fact, we started the show with Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, who also thought she should be gone.
She could be compelled to another hearing. We just don't know when. She might resist that, but we'll see how that fight goes. Pat Fallon's a Republican from Texas. He represents the district northeast of Dallas. And sir, good morning to you. We were watching you. I could hear, see, and feel the emotion in your questioning yesterday. Is this satisfactory to you with Cheatle resigning now?
Well, Bill, I think that I'm glad she's resigning. I'm glad she's no longer going to be the head of the Secret Service. I wish she had been fired, because, I mean, we need to change the culture of that organization. There were so many. This was a catastrophic failure to protect the former president and, quite frankly, also the leading candidate to be the next president. And she had the most abysmal performance that I'd ever seen. And not just my 4 years in Congress, but the most abysmal performance I've ever seen in front of a congressional committee in the 30 years since I've been a nerd watching C-SPAN in my 20s.
Do you think that the Secret Service will not actually make any changes if she is just basically able to resign, walk away, or do you think she will be called in for more questioning because she was the head of the agency that was responsible for the security of a president who was almost killed?
Dana, you make a good point. I mean, she is part of that puzzle for sure to continue to ask certain questions. I mean, she's the head of the Secret Service. She didn't visit the Butler site ever. She's never been there. That's remarkable to me. And she also said, I asked her, did she talk to that team that protected the president that day. It took her 3 days to do that. I mean, these are inexcusable failures. Also, the federal agents on site that day were not sharing the same communication lines as state and local police. We've got to, again, change the culture of that organization to make sure that all of our protectees are actually, get this, protected.
No, I don't get it. Why do you show up and go through that for 5 hours and the next day you step aside? And you're right, sir. The fact that she has not been to the site and was going to appear before members of Congress, it just smells. And I think the country deserves more and better.
Bill, you're right, and it's wholly inadequate. I recreated the shooting in Savoy, Texas on Saturday with a AR, with a red dot scope and a magnified scope, because they still haven't told us what scope he was using, from 130 yards at 6:30 at night, and I hadn't shot that AR in 6 years. And 15 out of the 16 shots were kill shots. So it is an absolute miracle President Trump is alive today. It is, I mean, thank the Lord. Unbelievable.
Congressman, what about Secretary Mayorkas? That is her boss?
Well, I voted to impeach him already. I was the first member of Congress to file articles because of his performance on the border, or lack thereof. And this is another instance where Homeland Security, I mean, they're ultimately responsible for the Secret Service. He should have fired her forthwith. And has Alejandro Mayorkas gone to the site? I don't believe so. This is, again, we need adults in the room running our government, and we don't have it right now.
I don't know what we'll learn from the police here in Pennsylvania, but maybe we'll get a few answers here. Then Christopher Wray comes tomorrow. Now, she deflected numerous times yesterday, referring to Christopher Wray. Does the FBI know more, and are they ready to tell us on day 11 tomorrow?
Well, Bill, this is what's sad, is what members of Congress have found out is mostly from whistleblowers and our own personal contacts within the FBI and the Secret Service. They should be telling not just us, but the American people. You can be very transparent and open about your investigation while still not compromising it. They're not mutually exclusive, and they haven't done that. They're just stonewalling after stonewalling. I felt yesterday like I was talking to Charlie Brown's teacher, just wah, 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 wah. It was a bunch of gobbledygook.
Hey,
you weren't alone.
Yeah, we had a Secret Service, a retired Secret Service agent on earlier, and one of the things he said that there was just a little bit of concern about having her answer so many questions about details about how the Secret Service plans to protect all of the people that they have to protect. Do you share that concern, or at least understand where he's coming from on that point?
Well, we don't need to get into extreme specificity, but I think the general public is aware that you secure the high ground around a president of the United States or one of your high-level protectees. You have counter-surveillance teams. You have counter-assault teams. These are just general knowledge questions, and so they can share that. I mean, and you know what? How about not allowing rangefinders? That should be a list of banned items. How did that guy get on the roof? And that slope certainly wasn't something that would prevent you positioning a law enforcement officer on there as well. We've disproven that. So there was too many untruths or flat-out lies that needed to be corrected yesterday.
Well, Michael Waltz tweets it was past time for her to go. I don't think you disagree with that. I was speaking yesterday afternoon with several people about what's happening behind the scenes, and we don't know. But one of the questions that kept coming up in our conversations was, why haven't we seen the gun, and why haven't we seen the shell casings? Now, there could be a reason for that, but I don't know what the reason is. Do you
Bill,
have
you make
an idea?
a great point. No, you make a great point. With the rifle that he used and the shell casings and the scope, that's not a national secret. That's not going to give China or one of our other adversaries a leg up. That's ridiculous. That should be shared. That should have been shared immediately, but it wasn't. And again, like with the scope, we were recreating what happened in Butler. I had to use 2 different rifles with 2 different scopes because I didn't know, but it was still the same result. I mean, very deadly. He was in a death zone, and that is inexcusable.
Peter Ducey has a shot of this letter. I'm just going to read it here. We don't have the graphic prepared. As I stated in the hearing yesterday, all of you are worthy of trust and confidence. You deserve the nation's support in carrying out our critical mission. This is a letter to the Secret Service, who works under her, by the way. One of my favorite things about this workforce is that the men and women are fiercely committed to our mission. Thank you for all that you do and will continue to do for our great nation. Signed by her. She has been with the Secret Service since 1995. My understanding is that she actually applied for the Secret Service while she was in college. So she was committed to the Secret Service. And
well, she didn't show the
why this whole thing fell apart the way it did yesterday is just we just can't understand it. It's a high-profile hearing. It had been on the books for days, sir. and it was an absolute letdown.
She was completely, Bill, she was completely unprepared to talk to members of Congress and to share with the American people. And she wasn't the leader that we need at the helm. That was obvious. It was obvious from her actions after Butler, and quite frankly, from what whistleblowers and our contacts are telling us within the Secret Service. She wasn't the leader that they needed before that either. I mean, every single person that I have personal contact with in the Secret Service and those whistleblowers said the same thing, and they're very glad to see her go.
All right, thank you so much, Congressman.
thank you,
we
sir.
appreciate you popping up and being here with us as this news
Air
breaks.
Force.
We appreciate you.
Okay, so Cheatle is gone, and now the question is, who is going to be her replacement for the next few months? What are your thoughts? Who do you think? And this is the thing, is as the American public, we should have no idea who the best person is to run the Secret Service. But as the American people, we should know who is running the Secret Service. Who is running Homeland Security? Who is protecting our political officials, our homeland, us? We can certainly say that Biden, Harris have not been protecting the American people over the past 3 years. They just haven't. Whether it gives narration or opportunity to wag the dog in the future and blame it on the past 3 years, the breach in the southern border. Millions of people did not cross the southern border of the United States and come into this country, and this is the last we hear about it. They're trying to say that these illegal aliens are coming in and taking legal immigrants' jobs and the black jobs. I think that's the least of our worries. Because I think probably a majority of the illegal aliens coming into the United States are not necessarily looking for legitimate work. So, will they be contributing to the American economy? Who knows? But I don't think that it ends here and we can just, because if you look around, if you ask people, I mean, nobody wants to be political. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about the issues. Nobody wants to talk about the problems. Nobody wants to talk about solutions. Nobody wants to talk about the consequences. Nobody. And part of that is probably because when people do talk about it, they're so divided that it ends up being getting volatile, just it's just we're in a crazy political environment right now, and sure how we get out of it. But anyway, let's see what you guys have to say in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe down below if you guys would. You know, just creating content, but it would be nice to know that somebody's watching. Okay.